portfolio. It's a very big portfolio. Lakhs and lakhs of customers. For last 25 years, we have been building this, history, and that's how it was very wonderful experience altogether. Why it was wonderful? It is because of the area in which it is functioning today. So Mahindra Finance has, or rather I would say Mahindra itself, plays a very key role in building up rural India for last 10 years. And that is how I chose my topic, how data science is changing the face of rural India today. Before even starting my talk, I would like you to go through a few videos which would actually set up a context. What sort of customers we serve day-to-day basis, and then let's see how.
अरे वाह बेटो, काम लोडर का और फास्ट ट्रैक करके चल ईटा लोड कर, बड़ा मालिक बना फिरता है, चल लग जा काम पे। चौधरी आज वीडियो नहीं है।
सर उधर है ना, हो रहा।
इसने ट्रैक्टर कब खरीदा?
ईटा लोड करवा दो। मैं मौका हूँ, मुझे महिंद्रा फाइनेंस ने पहचाना।
20 सालों में भारत के 1,70,000 गांव में मौजूद ऐसे अनगिनत मौकों को महिंद्रा फाइनेंस ने पहचाना है। महिंद्रा फाइनेंस, भारत को पहचानते हैं हम।
एक मिनट रुको, शहर जा रहे हो ना? ये दूध बेचोगे?
अरे यार, दूध।
भाया, ओ भाया, भाई दूध बेचा रहा है।
तुम खुद शहर जाके अपना दूध बेच दो ना।
मैं मौका हूँ, मुझे महिंद्रा फाइनेंस ने पहचाना।
पिछले 20 सालों में भारत के 1,70,000 गांव में मौजूद ऐसे अनगिनत मौकों को महिंद्रा फाइनेंस ने पहचाना है। महिंद्रा फाइनेंस, भारत को पहचानते हैं हम।
So in both of these videos, what you could see primarily, I mean, in the earlier video there was this Venu who always dreamt of having a tractor, and however was not able to do that. He dreamt of going little big, having his own field to do his own business, but he was not able to do it. Second video we again see a दूध वाला uncle who is always thinking कि मेरे पास भी एक गाड़ी हो, and I will go to the city and actually sell what I'm actually having today. But unfortunately वो नहीं कर पा रहा है. He is not having the ability. Though he has this काबिलियत and हिम्मत, he was not able to do it. So the focus I want to put here is, these are the set of customers we serve day in and day out. And when there is such a complexity involved, it becomes very difficult, basically to go and find out such customers is one big problem. Another thing is empathizing with them is second problem, and helping them out. When I say helping them out, why it is a big problem today? Let me just go to the next slide. Yeah. The big problem here is because our country as such, though it is agrarian and has strong economic, agrarian society and agrarian economy, though the problem is that our rural India still has a huge issues with accessibility to credit. When I say accessibility to credit, that means there is no easy way of having finance to buy anything. Do you think people in rural India don't have dreams? They have same dreams and equal dreams as we have, but they are unable to fulfill it. Q? Why? Because somewhere down the line they are not having this access to finance. So these are the real statistics. Like even today, 51% of our farmers, okay, they struggle to understand how do I farm, how do I go ahead, how do I look out for finance and money to do and pursue my dreams. more than that, if you go a little deeper and understand their psychology, you will understand that majority of them, about 78% of them still today struggle, to get this finance. And if they get this opportunity, if they understand that this is my dream and this is where I have to go, they somewhere have to rely on local sahukars. They actually go to these big fat people in the village and say ki, can you help me with the money? And what happens then? These people end their lives, struggle their lives just giving back their money, because the interest rates that these sahukars charge are so high. I mean, they are in no comparison with HDFC and ICICI of the world. They somewhere fall in the range of 30, 25, which is very huge, and then it becomes difficult for them to repay all their life. And what happens is they end up a very, very struggling and very, very horrible life all the way up. So, let me get the next slide. Yeah. So this is the area of focus where organizations like Mahindra Finance, not only us, there are many others. For example, I would even name the Jan Dhan Yojana scheme that Government of India started like few years back. It was a wonderful attempt that they did. The scheme like that, of that scale and nature, not only helped the rural India understand finance and banking, but they also helped, to recognize and realize their dreams. Because of such schemes and organizations like Mahindra Finance, we are now able to reach the rural customer, the rural India, and help them with easy finance. There is another such organization, and I would like to take their name today on this podium, that is Social Cause. It is an organization run and ruled by women, started by women, and they are actually working in the social field. They are going deep into the rural India, trying to collect data using various automated channels and helping their life to be better and happier. So yeah. So on that note, I would say that today, Mahindra Finance as an organization is so deeply rooted in rural India. So if you see the right map, the red colored dots, these are the areas we have already captured, we have already reached. Okay, and it is quite deep and dense. With this, the map next to here is actually showing you the green areas, the dark green areas is where there is a high potential, for exploring market and opportunities and such things. So when we are at such depth and such, when we are so deeply rooted in India, it really becomes difficult and challenging where to go next. What are the scope of opportunities to go next? Because right now, if I tell you the real statistics, we are present in around 3.5 lakh villages of India out of 6.5 lakh. Exploring the remaining 3 lakhs is really difficult because there are not so many people residing here today. At the same time, there is another problem that infrastructure and other such facilities are not so developed. So how do we find our new locations then? So that was my first interesting problem that I got to work. Where to go next? So I'll be talking about the stories about revolving around those issues. Yeah. So the case study one, that was which gully should I go next? I specifically used gully here is because it is so deep and rooted in the interiors of village, rural India, that we actually have to find out the latitude and longitude of which is that gully where our shop and store has to go. Very interesting problem this was. Why? Because primarily, even today it is solved. It is not like जब data नहीं था, data analytics नहीं था, लोगों ने expansion नहीं किया. Expansion तभी भी हुआ. But then what was something different and why was it required? So when we got this problem altogether of finding out the correct location, what we did was we started studying what is already happening as of now. We started taking into consideration lot of field people who are doing this activity of finding new locations. So this is a very simple and quick image wherein this is like a field boy who who's asked कि आज का आपका जॉब यही है, जाके 4-5 आजू बाजू के लोकेशंस निकाल लो, we have to expand and we have to probably find a new store for us. So what does that fellow do? Fellow is just acquainted and he knows the surrounding area where he is working. He's not aware about the broader picture of nearby villages, nearby towns, nearby cities, right? So generally it happens that when these people go and find out the correct areas or try to find out such things, what happens is they end up with some biases, and majority of the biases are like some random selection is done. Maybe he decides this is a place which is very near to by my house, why not I should go for that, opt for this location. Or something like, I know this is an area where I know people very well and I can give them loans just like that. I know with the acquaintance I can make that business, because ultimately these field people are rural people, and somewhere down the line their targets are to make business. So these were some of the typical biases we got, and then we thought, are these biases actually required and correct? Should they actually exist? So if you think deeper, definitely to a certain extent they have helped till now to progress and make your business grow. But will they help ahead? What if tomorrow such intelligent system, human-centric intelligent system goes away? These humans are replaced by some new people in the field, so the freshers and the new age boys in the field. What will happen? Will this work? So we did a lot of user research analysis to solve this problem, and then we thought, why not to layer it up with the tech? Why not to use our basic technology and intelligence and try and layer it up and understand which can be the best one? And that's how we decided to go much deeper again. And let me tell you, population as a variable, it is a very, very strong indicator of which direction you should go in business. Not only that, more than that, we also worked upon a lot of macro and microeconomic variables to understand how is India doing, how is its GDP going, what is the inflation rate, and all these things were taken into consideration to find out which is the correct location. And yeah, not only that, when I talk about tech side, it was interesting because we got to actually work with a lot of geospatial data. We extracted a lot of Google images, Earth images, and tried to find out which locations can help us grow. So it was a mixture of business, empathy, technology, and a lot of things, and finally we reached out with, can we just go ahead? We found out certain locations as a first sprint. So definitely data science, whenever we solve any problem, the first thing has to be done is pilot it out and check how it is working. So we piloted out around 80 branches across India, and let me tell you, it was a wonderful exercise. And the results were so good that one thing happened was we went more closer to our customers. They started knowing us more and more better. They understood that there is some entity called Mahindra Finance which is there to help us. If I need anything, I can go to finance. If I have money, I can still go to Mahindra Finance because they are going to help me with investment schemes, FD schemes, mutual fund schemes. That is how I can grow money using money. So we went more closer to customers. We also could recognize which are the branches as of now, stores as of now, which are heavily loaded with business, and why there is a saturation. So we could cut down it into specific bandwidth bana diya. More than that, yeah, definitely. Once this was achieved, it was clear-cut indication that productivity has shooted up. There was increased business, and few worth 100 crores of loans, more than that, I would say, were dispersed. And that is how this entire exercise proved to be a big success. So, can you go to the next slide? Yeah. So, once we have identified our new locations, we understood which are the hyper-local areas in India to go and exist and help people make their dreams come true. There was a second challenge now. The rural people still today have problem understanding finance. They don't know how to operate bank accounts. Many of them neither had any bank accounts. Now if you ask yourself, why is this? This is because they actually do not have day-to-day income as we guys do have. You know, we belong to a very typical class wherein salary is coming month on month and we have our investments, spendings, everything planned. But this is not the case in rural India. Majority of our rural India still is agrarian, and at the same time there is no such fixed income that is coming in month on month for them. Second problem, they have more dependence than we have. Their families are huge. They still belong to the setup of joint families. So there is again this concept, they have huge dependence on them. Not only this, they are also worried about their child's future because they are not understanding what to do. And in such a scenario, then there comes the next problem, that you went hyper-local. Whom to lend? Who is that correct individual whom we can lend and take risk? The most important thing here is that all these individuals do not have credit history. They do not have banking history. Imagine like tomorrow you are a fresher and you go to even HDFC and ICICI of the world and you say I have to take a loan, right? What is the general thing that all these banks do? They will say, I'll check your credit score, right? I'll check your CIBIL score. Everyone must be quite acquainted with this, correct? But this doesn't happen in rural India. What do we do then? How do we assess whether the individual is worthy enough to repay the loan that we are going to give him? So this was my second challenge, and it also went pretty well. I'd like to run you through. What we decided was, that's fine. If we don't know what is his credit history, if we don't know how is he going to bank, that's fine. Let's understand that customer as a mode. Let's go more deeper into his repayment style, into his day-to-day activities, what is his demographic, and all these things. So we decided, let's cut down this customer phase, customer life cycle phase into small buckets. Like, what is the first phase? What is the first time when he comes to us? What is the phase number 2? What does he do in that phase number 2? What does he do in his post-repayment, post-partial repayment phase? So we thought of dividing this whole customer life cycle into multiple phases. Sourcing phase, a phase of what you call as stability and constant repayment of EMI, and third is where he approaches that area of renewability, or rather wherein he is saying, I am about to end my loan. So we divided the customer life cycle in these phases, and then we said, let's use a basic concept of risk modeling at every phase. Now what you are trying to do here is, you are actually calculating risk associated with a rural customer who is not having any banking history for the day, and putting it across. Actually you are measuring the risk associated with it. So how is it going to help you? We said, let's follow this strategy and then say we will lend to everyone. Let's not reject any person who comes to us. Let's lend everybody who is going to come to us, and then risk him and monitor him. That is how we started this whole journey. We built up various, multiple levels of risk models, credit risk models, to help finding out the risk associated, and then decided to monitor them day in and day out. That's how today we are very successful, in lending tractors, buses, cars, used cars for that matter, two-wheelers, everything. Even housing loans are disbursed as of now via finance today. So yes, definitely this was another beautiful use case, and it helped us in basically doing life stage financing. I'll come to it on later part. Yeah. So going a little further now from here, now you have your customers, now you have all the Venus and Dudwala uncles of the world associated with a very interesting risk core to it. And now you know that you have the ability to lend to everyone who comes to you, and you have that strength of collection. So now your focus is changed from lending to collection. You become a collection driven organization rather than a lending organization. Because you have to lend to everybody who comes to you. Decision is not that going to be difficult. The expertise and the essence of whole thing lies in the collection. So we said, like, fine. We know there are going to be some pockets, some customers, some customer base which is going to be risky for us. We know they might not pay on time. It is going to be a delayed payment, and they will have their own stories of hospitalizations and so on and so forth. But that's fine. Why not find out those interesting pockets of customers who are very safe to us? Why not identify those customers and say, these are your golden customers, these are your best of best customers, and help them grow in your organization. For example, I'll just make it a little simple. If you identify the Venus and the Dudwala uncles of the world, of the rural India, and say these are actually the people who are saying मुझ में काबिलियत है, हिम्मत है, मैं repayment करूँगा, मुझे पैसा चाहिए, and you know they are very safe to us. So why not identify such pockets of customers and help them grow? Now imagine in your whole business, you as a CEO, and somebody comes and tells you, I have around 10 to 12 such pockets comprising of 2% to 3% people. I know 2% and 3% is a very small pocket. They will not give you a illusion of bigger customer base. I understand that. But imagine if you cumulatively have such 10 to 12 pockets. It will form your around 20-25% of your customer base. And then you can confidently say, I have this 20-25% of customer base which are so safe and so interesting that I can lend them however and how much they want at any point of time. And then you develop that relationship of engagement with the customer. So I'm pretty sure many of you must be having HDFC accounts today, and you must have got a call from relationship manager saying, I am the person, I'll take care of your account, you let me know if you have to invest something more, if you want a mutual fund from us, and so on and so forth. So why not get into that zone where you will start engaging the customer to such a level that he trusts you. Any rural customer, whenever he thinks of using his finance or putting his finance to use, he should think of us. He should think of us, and he should dream about his dreams coming true. Why not to go to that stage? And this is how we went on finding out these pockets and designing customized products for these, pockets. For example, customers who are, married, who are salaried, who have around 30-35 years of age, who have around 5 dependents. They are just wonderful pockets of customer. Go and lend them so much of money, so much of IRR, and so you are actually designing a very customized product for them, helping them, realize their dreams. And this is what we did. So we used risk scores, used propensity scores. Not only that, we also relied on a lot of external data. When I say external data, it was all about how rural India is growing today, lot of census data, lot of data that was even provided from social corps. So all such things helped us, and again this entire concept was again a hit, and we could actually build many such pockets today, and we now know ये village में इस तरह का customer है, and he is going to help us grow. Not only we are growing, the person also in rural India is growing in that way. Yeah. So once we did this, we went to our one level up, wherein we decided, now we know the pockets, now we know the risk scores, now we know the propensity scores, now we are well versed with the rural customer. Go to a step ahead and try and start packaging these customers. When I say this, we started getting into life stage financing. We said, let's use all of this data science that we have done on location identification, customer identification, penetration strategies to develop something which is in a much more packaged form for all our loyal customers. Say tomorrow there is a small bacha of a farmer who is willing to do some great engineering or something great in his life. He wants some money for education. Why not help him with that? Somebody who has reached his age of 25 years and is dreaming of his dream wedding. Why not help him with that? Somebody who is as old as us and thinking we should have a dream house. We should package a product and help him with a housing loan. So on and so forth. So that's how we went into life life stage financing, we did customer life cycle assessment, and built loyalty programs and loyalty products for all these customers to grow. So yeah, so point was the whole assignment that we did right from identifying the location till life stage financing was not an easy journey, because the point which I have to say is, though when I tell you in a story form, it looks very simple and it looks like, why is this strategy not followed everywhere? I agree, but however, one should always understand that while solving such remote and hyper-local problems, we should not forget that empathy and empathetic user interactions are very much required. And I honestly feel in this world of data science and mathematics, somewhere we lack here. Somewhere we forget to get into this user research analysis, get into user sentiments, get into the shoes of users and understand user empathy and design something for them. More than what data tells, we should always see, is there a user feasibility and user desirability for what you have building. So yeah, so that was a point which I wanted to emphasize on. And going a next step ahead, using all of this today, if I look back 10 years, if I look back the decade, this is this #10-year challenge. I would proudly say that today India has progressed so much, okay? And how it has helped. The stories that I was telling you of, going rural, financing people, identifying pockets was possible only because the infrastructural changes happened there. Only because power, schools, tourism, internet and telecom has penetrated to that level. And if that is not there, the immediate reaction is going to be to the disposable finance available, right? The disposable income that is present in each and every house. If that is not there, nothing is going to happen. So we should really thank our government on doing all of these activities. Today, World Bank is investing heavily in, getting our infrastructure developed and making rural India much better. So all of these things are playing role together to, grow and develop as a country. So we should definitely thank them. That's how we created a lot of success stories, and I feel this is a beautiful picture, and I whenever I see, and this is a real picture when we took it when we were on the field doing user research analysis. So this is the best thing that I could say. We aim to create such more inspirational stories and create newer avenues for them. If a woman today has this power of running a tractor of more than 100 horsepower ka tractor, it is nothing like it. I mean, this is what progress we are aiming to do. Before going down from this podium, I also want to focus on few aspects that often are loosed or often are not thought about when we work on any data science problem as a whole. One should definitely develop certain qualities before banging on any data science problem. One should always strive for curiosity. One should always have that ability to learn new things, to explore new things, to understand different domains. Data science is just not about technology, R and Python coding or Kaggle competitions. I salute to Kaggle today that it has wonderful data sets, but it is much more beyond than that. And one should definitely strive to try and understand what are those problems, what are those gray areas in your surroundings, and that is how you really need to have this curiosity. One should definitely not forget ethics and security. It's very, very important. Otherwise, you will end up doing something that Cambridge Analytica did last year. It should not be that way. So do abide on your ethics and security. Most important, it's a team sport. Data science, even Raj mentioned that it is not something that a single person can do. It is well said. If you run fast, if you have to go fast, you run alone. But if you have to go farther, go in a team. That is how it is. Data science is all about going far, reaching something which is not thought about. And if you have to do that, it really requires team. Team, when I say, Only women will not help. Only men will not help. Only designers will not help. Only thinkers will not help. Everybody together has to come and really think about some hyper-local problem, some local problem which really needs to be addressed and thought about. So data science, the way we perceive it has to be really changed, and we should try and find out problematic areas in our surroundings and address them. Last but not the least, I would like to end my talk putting this small note which I always think about when I start with a new problem. I don't know if it is visible, I'll read out for you. So it's a note that is from Barack Obama, and a wonderful story he always tells in a lot of interviews, that whenever any new recruit or whenever any new person joined White House while he was the president there, he always gave them, everybody gets this welcome kit when we join a new organization, and he used to give this diary where he used to himself write these points on his first page. And they are just wonderful. You should think about it. I'll read out loudly for you. One should always dream in years. One should always plan in months. Whatever is planned, one should evaluate in weeks. And one should ship daily on it. Very important. One should keep shipping day on day, month on month. And that's how you're going to achieve your dream. Solving any problem, always prototype for X. Build something for 10x and then you engineer, mass scale it for 100x. A very important thing for any data science problem, if you think deeply, anything which you are solving, you really don't know, because you are not going to consider biases, and lot many things are going to be removed from what a human-centric or channel is doing today. You're going to remove it and you're going to make a change altogether. So prototyping becomes a very, very important element. You need to prototype for X, think and experiment on 10x, and then engineer it for 100x. Last but not the least, for any problem, one should always think how to cut the timeline into half. Any problem, your aim should be, whatever you are doing, your timeline should, is it lowering down the time that is taking today? What would you do to double the impact? And last but not the least, whatever you are doing, it should actually create an impact. It should never be like, I did it because it was interesting enough to solve. It should actually drive the impact. Cure AI is, hats off. Whatever they are doing today is just wonderful. They tried to find out this hyper-local problem wherein identifying the problems in the chest or X-rays was a really difficult task for a doctor, and they have solved it. They experimented at it today, and it's actually available in a lot of rural areas and a lot of other hospitals, and they are actually solving a very human-centric problem. So that is how I really think that one should think in all these directions for solving any data and data-specific problem, and I feel that would really make a lot of success stories here. Thank you.